What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. For anybody new, I am Matt Luna, and this is my Tackle Tip Tuesday series where I try to bring you weekly tackle tips that are going to help you guys catch more fish. And today we're talking all about spinnerbaits. Spinnerbaits for me were something I didn't know a lot about until I started making them myself. Honestly, I didn't fish them very much until I started making them myself, and I got my hands on the Ultra Minnow spinner jig mold from Dual Molds. It's this same exact mold right here that you see that made this exact spinnerbait. And when I started trying to figure out what the components were that go into making a spinnerbait, like what kind of wire I needed, what kind of blades, all that kind of stuff, that's when I started really looking into what makes a spinnerbait good, and then I found out what I like to throw, and in turn started catching a lot more fish on spinnerbaits and throwing a spinnerbait a heck of a lot more as well. In the spinnerbaits that I make myself, I use an 032 size wire. I like that extra vibration, and I'm not so much worried about the durability of the spinnerbait. When I make spinnerbaits for other people or when I sell them online like I have on my website right now, I use an 035 because I feel like you're still getting the vibration that you want out of that wire, because it's not very much bigger, but you're going to get a little bit more durability, which is important to me when I'm selling somebody a product. I don't want it to catch one fish and be ruined, but if that happens to me and I'm able to make them myself, it's not as big of a deal. The next most important thing that you guys need to think about when it comes to buying or making your own spinnerbaits is the blades themselves. Not necessarily what color as much as what size. The size of the blades are what is going to give you the different type of performance. The bigger the blades, generally the more thump. Now, if you go with Colorados, they're going to have more thump than the Willows. If you're going to go with an Indiana, it's going to have more thump than a Willow blade as well. I like this Willow blade, Colorado blade combination. This is a 4.5 Willow with a number 4 Colorado. I really feel that that gives me a lot of thump. Anybody that's fished my spinnerbaits that I make for them knows they thump really hard. They get a lot of vibration. You're going to feel that in your rod when you're reeling it back. Now, if you slow it down, it's not going to thump as hard, but if you reel it really fast, you're going to feel that drag from these blades turning. And that lighter wire is also giving you more vibration. If it was a heavier wire, it would have less vibration, like I already talked about. Now, depending on the blade combination that you get on your spinnerbait will also depend on what type of vibration you're gonna get. If you get double willows, maybe 2 small willows, those are gonna be good for deep water. It's gonna stay deep. The blades aren't gonna lift your spinnerbait as well. If you go with a Colorado, it's gonna give you a lot of thump. It's gonna lift that bait up higher in the water column as well. So those are different things that you need to think about. If you want something that's gonna stay real deep, you're gonna have to reel it really slow, and then you're also gonna wanna pick the right blade combination in order to keep that bait down in the water column. That's one of the reasons why I really like this setup that I have right here. I feel like I can keep it down deep, but I can also reel it faster, get it higher up in the water column, move that rod tip up, get it higher in the water column as well. So I feel like I can do a lot with this same setup. Notice in the first 2 things that I talked about in this video, I had nothing to do with color. I don't think color is as important as getting your vibration correct. And that has everything to do with wire diameter and blade combination. Getting those 2 things correct are much more important than narrowing down that color. Now, do I think color can matter? Absolutely I do. However, I think just getting it close is more important than nailing it right on the head. Now, if you're on a good spinnerbait bite and you want to try to change subtle things to see if it makes a lot of difference, then I think, yeah, go with that. Maybe try, all white or chartreuse and white, or more of a clear kind of a color like this one is right here. Maybe that's when the gold versus silver blades are really going to come into play. Or maybe they're short striking it, so you want to throw that orange kicker blade on here. Those are times where I think that you can start playing around with those color, start playing around with some of those little subtleties that you can do in a spinnerbait. But I think you really need to narrow down that vibration that those fish want before you start going into changing some of those little minor things like color. How you fish a spinnerbait is really important as well. Fishing it around brush is one of my favorite ways to fish a spinnerbait. It comes through that brush really well. It'll bang off those branches really well. This part right here acts as its own weed guard. You don't hang a spinnerbait up in the brush very much at all, and a lot of times if you do, you're going to be able to get that thing out of there. Depending on the type of grass, you can fish this thing around grass as well. But one of the main things is you need to figure out if those fish want that bait slow rolled, where you're just slowly reeling that thing just enough to feel those blades vibrating, or if they want it burned where you're reeling it really fast. A lot of times smallmouth will want it burned like that, and then a lot of times those largemouth are going to want that thing slow rolled, banging into something, and they just go over there and they smash it. My favorite way to fish a spinnerbait is slow rolled around mud lines, in that brush. When those conditions are there, I'm gonna guarantee you I got a spinnerbait tied on. Whether they're eating it that day, you never know, but it's definitely gonna be something I'm gonna give it a shot. When it comes to having the right equipment, I think it's really important with a spinnerbait. You don't want a broomstick for a rod with a spinnerbait, but you also don't want something super flimsy. That's why I like to go with a medium heavy rod. When I'm fishing it around close targets where I'm really trying to be accurate with it, I'm using a 611 6-cents unicorn rod paired up with a Daiwa Tatula SV reel in that 6:3 to 1 gear ratio. It's gonna allow me to burn that thing in if I need to, and it's also gonna help me slow down because it's not gonna be too fast of a gear ratio. If I'm fishing more open water scenarios where long casts are key, super clear water, I'm going with a 7'3" Divine 6-cents rod, medium heavy action. It's going to give me a little bit more of a parabolic bend, and it's also going to give me that longer distance in that rod. It's going to help me get longer casting distance as well. And I'm also pairing it up once again with that Daiwa Tatula SV in that 6:3 to 1 gear ratio range. I'm going to be anywhere between 12 and 15 pound test fluorocarbon. One thing you want to think about when you are fishing a spinnerbait is line size will cause your bait to rise if it's too heavy, and you'll get a little bit more depth if you have a little bit lighter line as well. My first line that I usually start out with is going to be 12, but if I'm fishing around some heavy brush, heavy cover, then I will go up to that 15. And then if it's crazy cover or something like that, then maybe you're going to go even higher than that. But 15 is a good place to kind of hang around that 12 to 15 pound range. A spinnerbait is a great way to catch not only quality fish, but numbers as well. When the spinnerbait bite is on, it's one of my favorite ways to fish, especially around brush and those mud lines like I was talking to you guys about. But I hope this video was helpful to you guys, and the next time you go out and you want to throw a spinnerbait, think about these things that we talked about in today's video. If you want to check out more content like this, head over to my Tackle Tip Tuesday playlist or subscribe to my channel to make sure that you see this content every single week. I put out tackle making videos, on the water videos, and tip videos just like this. So subscribe to the channel, and I hope you guys liked today's video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Any questions or anything like that, leave them down in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.